do it.
So let's just start. When did you decide that basketball was going to be that thing that got you to the next level?
So, I come from a basketball family. Both my brothers played in college. My little brother plays at American University in DC right now. He's going to be a sophomore. My uncle played professionally in Italy. So, I grew up with basketball. It's something that I loved. I did play baseball for a little while, but like basketball had that competitive nature that I loved. And right around, I'd say 13 years old, my older brother started getting some offers when he was in high school. And I said, you know what, this is what I want to do. I'm going to drop baseball. I'm going to go all in. And I started, just spending a lot of time in the gym, trying to meet everyone that my brother had connects. And like, I was just competing with everyone. It was like, I was a 13-year-old. I would go up against 15, 16, 18-year-olds. And then I'd play against my age group. And, I loved the biggest like attractive thing to me with basketball was the competitive energy and competitive nature. Like, it's just dog out competitiveness. So that's what I loved about it. And I started pursuing it right around then.
I mean, I didn't play basketball, but I had some friends that were in AAU as we were growing up, and they were insane. I mean, they were flying and driving all over the East Coast. And at, like you were saying, 11, 12, 13, they were feeling this urge to go all out with this sport that may pay dividends, but may fizzle out in high school.
Oh, yeah. And I coach AAU. I coach 16U right now, and I love it. But you're right, there's levels to it, and there's local AAU. And then there's, you can go all the way up to EYBL for basketball, which is going on right now with Peach Jam. And I mean, you're in Atlanta, Georgia. I played for the EYBL City Rocks, and it's just like, you'll be all over the country. And you're going up to Albany for practice, which I'm from South Jersey. That's about a 4-hour drive on the weekends. You get 3 practices in a weekend, and it's like a business at that point, and you're 16 years old. So, is this really what you want? I'm telling my guys right now, especially guys that I train and coach right now who are 14, 15, I'm like, if you want to do this, if you want to pursue this, like, you're like, limit distractions in your life. Like, it's time to get focused, man, because this is no joke. And the payoff is amazing if you can get a scholarship and you get to that college level. That's the ultimate goal for these guys. But if you want it, it's a lot, but it's worth it, in my opinion. So
on this podcast, I talk to a lot of athletes who have started their sport at 3, 4, 5. But then I also talk to some athletes who don't learn about their sport until high school or college even. At what point do you think that an athlete, in terms of longevity of career, should start playing?
Wow. Okay. So,
and that's kind of excluding early peak sports like gymnastics and wrestling, where you start really seriously early.
Yeah. No, I think it really depends on the sport. And then I think, I'm big on multi-sport. I know some people think you should specialize, but I think, I coach, I trained, and I ref for like Crispin basketball. Joe Crispin, he played at Penn State, ended up playing in the NBA for a little while, played with Kobe, and he runs Crispin basketball, which is a like club basketball league. And what they emphasize is enjoying the game up until about 13, 14 years old. And we accept, multi-sport athletics, because a lot of times if you're playing football, basketball, and baseball, say you're doing that, you're a little bit more carefree because you're not all, to the grind with just basketball, and that's your entire focus. And, it gives you kind of a break. And the most carefree players are the multi-sport athletes, and that are just enjoying the game and kind of figuring out what they want. And, I like this type of vibe. And so, we're open till right around 13, 14 years old. We started around 8 years old of trying everything you like and enjoy the game, and, just come and play with your friends. And then right around 13, 14, I'd say, is when you start to specialize and really dial in with what you want. And some people figure it out earlier than that, but I think get the parents out of the way. That's what we try to focus on, and like, let the kids do what they love, you don't have to fill up some family legacy of basketball if football is your thing, or tennis, So enjoy it all the way up till about 13, 14, I'd say. That's what I would agree on. And then you dial in.
So at that same time, you're, as a person, kind of trying to figure out who you are, what kind of person you want to be, what kind of attributes you want to build your personality around. How do you simultaneously focus on this laser basketball or whatever sport it may be, while also kind of trying to cultivate your identity in everything else?
Oh, it's nuts. Yeah, it's nuts. 13, 14, you know, I don't really have much to comment on that age because, from what I remember at that age, for me, I was really just playing it for fun. And I was just starting to get a trainer at that point. Like, I wasn't really like that dialed in, that focused. But right around the time when I was around 16, 17 is where I kind of relate to what you're saying. And that is when I was working out 3 times a day before school, after school. Like, it was me and my brother were working, grinding at 16, 17, because he was 2 years younger than me. And I'll be honest, like, he's great. He's probably, I won't say this a lot, but he probably is better than me. I'll still work him in the post, but like, he probably is. I mean, he's playing at American. He's doing great. But we were working really hard. And a lot of the guys on my AAU team were landing offers from like Patriot League level schools, Colgate. And, I'm sitting here and I'm doing everything they're doing. I'm like, dropping the same amount of points, doing all the same like formula as they're doing, and I'm not landing an offer. And so I'm 16, 17, putting all my work and time and energy into basketball. Everything is basketball. And I started to sacrifice a lot of the things that like, is that like other pieces of my identity, and like, everyone else is building their social awareness and social settings. And it's like, I'm going to bed at 9 p.m. on a Saturday night because I want to get up early on Sunday. So I don't really have that time to formulate other parts of my identity. And, I haven't really thought on that or looked back on it or reflected on it in a while. But, when you're so focused on something and narrow-minded, you kind of lose sight of other things that maybe you should be building, like social skills and, things that are important. So I think, it could be 13 and 14. For me, it hit me right around 16, 17. I ended up getting a scholarship. Luckily, the work paid off. Like, I'm very grateful, very blessed. But it was like a 9 to 12 month grind where I kind of sacrificed a lot of other things for basketball. So
when did Adelphi come and kind of start recruiting you?
So they sold me the summer going into my senior year of high school. And I was recruited, and, I was getting like texts and calls from, a good amount of schools, usually like Ivy League, a few Patriot. I think Siena was involved, and, no offers, no landed offers. And then they were interested in the summer. And then right around the fall, when I was at St. Augustine Prep, we were working out, doing workouts, playing, getting ready for our season. And head coach Dave Duke came and saw me. I ended up going on some official visits, 2 of them. And, I took the offer after my official visit. I really loved what Adelphi had and everything. It was, a great experience. So.
And then what was the coaching staff telling you about their university that drew you in the way that it did?
So, I was really drawn to the coaches toured me around. I went to practice, an official practice. I also played in a practice with the guys, got some runs in, went to class with one of the guys, and we also went out to dinner. So I was kind of doing everything. But the things that really drew me was when I sat in on practice and just watched. And it was less about them telling me anything and more them like the actions and the showing. And when I saw like our guy, like Ronnie Silva, in practice, he was a freshman at the time, winning all Rookie of the Weeks, like any 10 Rookie of the Weeks. And this guy is like, they're doing a defensive drill. And, he's specializing in offense, dropping like 16 points a game as a freshman. And this is a defensive drill. And he is screaming like handsy, jersey ripping, like in your face type of defense. And it was like that competitive fire. And it's like, you can tell me all the great things about your school, but that's what I love. Like, I got to see that. So I fell in love with like the best offensive player, probably in the Northeast 10, probably in the region right now, like as a freshman, dogging out. And, he's the first one in the gym, last one out. Like, he's a true leader. And that is what I love, that culture. And so that's what I fell in love with. Like, you can tell me everything in my ear, but I got to see that, man. And that's why I kind of committed. So.
And then your freshman year, you were co-rookie of the year.
Yep.
Congratulations. Welcome to
Thank you.
college.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Yep.
I mean, how did that impact, or I guess set the groundwork for the next couple years?
So yeah, no, I'm really grateful to have won that. When I look back on that, especially that time in my life, that was such a weird year for me. It was so rocky because I'd say that, I was playing well in high school, just like any kid who's, going to go on and play in college. And, I had some high expectations for myself when I got to college. And then I definitely had some time to transition into college, adjust. I think I was underweight. I came in at 205. With my sophomore year, I was 240. So I had to put on a lot of physical weight to match the physicality. And I don't think I was ready mentally, physically, for that level. And the Northeast 10, Division II, a lot of people think it's just Division II, but a lot of people, aren't ready for that level, man. Like, it is a different level. And so I ended up getting redshirted my freshman year for 7 games. I took it. I was like, damn, man. And I'm going through the motions in practice. I can see myself kind of slipping. Like, what's the point of practicing at maximum level every day if I'm not going to go into a game? And there's such a difference in that. And so I was redshirted for 7 games. And then one of our guys tears his Achilles on the 7th game, which, it was really unfortunate. But, my coach pulled me in, and I'm still a freshman. I'm like 18 or 19 years old. And he's like, hey, man, we'll pull your red shirt back if you're willing to play. And I'm like, I thought about it. I had to tell him I had to think about it, but I was like, I do want to play. Like, I'll put everything in the past. I'll put 7 games, a third of the season out of the way. I want experience. I want to go. And so, I hopped off the red shirt, came in. I knew I could shoot the 3. My defense wasn't where it needed to be. My rebound wasn't, but I was just like, let's go. And, I learned a ton that year. And I think one of the main reasons why I won that co-rookie of the year award was because I shot 40% from 3, which is, I put in a lot of work in my shot. And to see it pay off after that rocky start to that year, it was like, wow, that's amazing, So, but I really couldn't have done it without my coach and my teammates, because they saw something in me that I didn't see. At that point in my life when I was redshirted, it was like, I don't know where I'm at. I don't know if I'm good enough for this level. Like, I don't know if I got to put on weight. Like, I didn't really know where I was at. And they saw something in me, and me jumping in, they took me away with it. And, it was awesome. It was a great time. So
talk to me about the mentality of a red shirt.
So like, while you're redshirted?
Yeah. So you can't play in the game. You've taken on essentially a different type of mentality toward your teammates and practice. How do you work through that, especially coming into this totally new environment?
Right. So there's different forms of a red shirt. You can be redshirted because of injury, because of transfer, or what I was is really just a developmental red shirt. Like, you just need a year to develop and be ready. And you can have 4 more years of eligibility from there. And so in that role, it was definitely like getting hit blindsided with a wall. It's like, I could see it creeping. Like, I didn't know if I was ready, but man, the second they pull you in and say, hey, we're going to redshirt you this year if you want to. And it's like, wow, okay. So, you get hit with that wall, you get blindsided. I'm telling my family, trying to get advice. They're just like, keep going into practice, really try and just work on the things that you need to work on. And the mentality for me was a little bit of a chip on the shoulder to start, go out there and prove something, go out there and earn it, right? And then it started to develop into damn, there's no games, there's no real way to prove it. Yeah, you're in practice, but it doesn't matter what I do in practice. It's there's nothing on the books here, man. It's just practice. And so I started going through the motions, started just, hitting shots, kind of chilling a little bit. I could see myself slip. That motivation wasn't there because I feed off competitive energy. And it's we're doing a bunch of drills and plays in practice. So it's how do I prove myself? And so, I had a few conversations with friends, and I really just, my teammates, man, my teammates, they embrace that leadership role. And I think Ronnie is an incredible example of just leadership, practicing what he preaches all the time. And one thing I had to learn was just patience. And then when I got that chance to get out of that, I think it would have been so different if I was redshirted the whole year. I was only redshirted 7 games, but I saw it as like a chip on the shoulder, shifting to now going through the motions, losing motivation. And then, I found my motivation. I was good. I started playing. I don't know what it would have been like if it was a full redshirt year. So that's what I have to say on that.
And then in your sophomore year, you lost to COVID.
Right.
So you were waiting for this opportunity, and then you had to wait an additional year.
Oh yeah. And that hit every athlete, the COVID, but like, I think COVID would have hit me way harder if I was redshirted my freshman year fully than the COVID year, not knowing what was going to happen, like how long this is going to last. So I'd say that me personally, I got lucky. I got lucky because I had all that experience. I got a lot of confidence from playing the college level. But if I had to go 2 years of never even playing in a college game before, wow, yeah, no, that would have hit me hard. And I think like having that experience at the college level gave me a ton of confidence. So when I got out of COVID, like I was kind of ready to go as a junior. Definitely.
So what were you doing during that COVID year when your season got canceled? Practices were kind of up in the air. You weren't even sure when you were going to be able to play again.
Yeah. So I'm a little bit of like a nut. Like I'm kind of crazy. Like I love adrenaline. Like I love to run. Like I'm a big runner. I ran 9 miles for the 9 for 9 for Morgan's Message. I ran 4 miles yesterday. I just like doing it. It's something that frees my mind. And I remember when COVID initially struck in March or April of that year, we were playing, we were in season. Our team actually lost in the playoffs. So we were out anyway, but like we were mid-season, 2 now, boom, cut off. And for me to shift from that college level, first time experience of intensity and training and like competitive level to gyms are now shut down. Everything's going to shut down. You will not, like, I was lifting weights and doing push-ups in my garage. Like I really, like, I didn't know how to train, and it was the biggest drop off. And so I just started running, and I would run a lot, man. Like I would run half marathons sometimes. And a lot of it was a mix of, I love to run and it frees my mind, and it was freeing me from the chaos and the uncertainty of what was going on. And it was also like me just getting in shape, getting more conditioned, like ready for that college level. And I started lifting a ton. Like I started lifting, I was running with a weight vest. I went on an insane like physical journey throughout COVID. And that was kind of my way to deal with the chaos and uncertainty in those initial months. And I did that pretty much the whole entire spring. Got up to about 240 while staying in like elite, like condition shape to run. And I came in my sophomore year much more ready to go. We still did train and practice up on campus. My sophomore year, we just didn't play. We were, it was anticipated that we would have had a season. D1 was playing a season, right? So we were ready for it. And when I was on campus, I got much better defensively and stuff like that, but we still didn't have that season. So, that was another thing. COVID was so long, man. So, that's how I dealt with it.
At what point did you find Morgan's Message? Was that as soon as you stepped on campus? Was that during that time where everything was up in the air and you were looking for a constant? I mean, how did you find the organization?
So, what's interesting is I actually didn't find Morgan's Message until this past April. We have had, our school has had, a lot of stuff go on, COVID, right? There's a ton of things that have happened. And I've always been big on mental health, like taking care of yourself, definitely physical health and wellness, right? But also just mental health. And we had 2 girls on our softball team, specifically one, and she came to me and I was like, yo, I want to be a part of this Morgan's Message. They were just starting it up at that time, trying to build an Instagram account, getting it going, explaining me what it was. And I was actually already on my own little venture of mental health, like proactivity, where I worked with one of our head advisors, and we got a petition out to try to, in favor of a sports psychologist within the athletic department. And that idea was brought to me from a friend who was going through something mentally with a friend. And they, she brought me that idea and I just went on it. Like I tried to get it. We got that petition out and we got close to 400 signatures on that. And then, this girl that I was talking to on softball, she's like, hey, like, if you want to like harness this energy into Adelphi, Morgan's message, let's build this chapter up. And right now, like we've been working these last couple months and I've met a ton of people, heard some amazing stories, and we've built up like, I think close to 20 ambassadors, 10 advocates. We have like 3 people in a leadership position, like senior ambassadors. And we have an advisor, I have a few mentors, and we have a lot of projects. I could talk on that for a long time, but it's really grown in the last couple months. And I think being out of college class and, has given me the time to really like invest all my passion and energy into this thing the last couple months. So
let's talk about mental health resources just generally on D2 campuses, because I went to a D1 school and I know what resources they have. How does that differ from what you guys were working with?
So as of right now, if there was a mental health crisis in the athletic department on a team, you get like a general school email, like SCC, Student Counseling Center or something at adelphi.edu, right? Like they give you that email and they basically just say, hey, like, go there if you're dealing with anything. And what I've heard from friends is that like you go there and there's struggles with availability. There's struggles with connecting to the student athlete lifestyle. Like, here's an example. A psychologist, a general psychologist might just tell you, dealing with an eating disorder, like just eat more, right? Or like, you have to eat this way, right? But then it comes to sports like wrestling or sports like gymnastics where cutting weight and you're constantly weighed, where you can't just eat more. And so they don't understand that like, you're being weighed and it's part of your sport to maintain your weight and your figure and stuff like that. So you just don't get it, man. So general psychology doesn't link with sports psychology. And, they don't understand how important that sport is. It's an identity to student athletes. Like it's who they are. You can't just tell them to cut their sport out of their life. And I know that, your life is always more important than your sport, but we have to learn how to, understand how important that identity is to people and work within their lifestyle and their grind to figure out, kind of the root of the problem. So what's going on right now is you have a general psychology department, student counseling center. And, you spend 6 to 8 weeks in there in some form of counseling. I've never actually done it. I've just heard this. And then with availability issues, you're kind of just, told, hey man, like we got to move on. There's other people that need help. You should try to go private, through insurance or someone that back home or through your family. So it's a general email, it's general psychology, it's really not student athlete tailored. And we did have a part-time sports psychologist / counselor on campus. She's amazing, but her availability, I didn't even want to meet with her for therapy, anything. I wanted to go in there just to introduce myself. And I go in there early in the morning at like 7 a.m. She's like, hey man, you got to come back at 10:30. I'm with someone. Come back at 10:30. She's like kicking me out after like 17 minutes. I'm letting out everything that I've got, trying to tell her my ideas, everything. This is in like April when I'm shooting like the petition, all this, like, can you give me some resources? She's like, hey, I got to go. I got another patient. And like, these are student athletes who are silently struggling within our community that I didn't even know are 6 to 8 weeks backed up with availability. And she is the only resource while she's pursuing a social work degree, while she's got her own family, her own job, her own stuff that she's doing. And she's working part-time hours throughout the week to favor this backed up student athlete community that's not getting the help they need through general psychology and the general referral email, right? And so there's silent struggles that need resources. So I'm trying to build those types of resources. And we've made a lot of progress, but that's where it is now. That's how it stands. So
how do you see this playing out? Like if you could structure the perfect group of resources for student athletes, what would that look like? How many people would it entail? What roles would they have? How would it look?
Okay, so as someone who just kind of goes with with ideas and kind of just is more big on, I believe in getting your foot in the door and figuring it out later, meeting everyone, getting access first, and then you'll develop how it goes. I'm not too big on being perfect, but what I see right now, like the vision that I would go on is, and this is based on a CICU webinar statistic. I watched the webinar, my advisor sent it to me and another friend as we're working to build resources. And this is a recent statistic that has developed over time, after COVID, but 50% of student athletes wouldn't utilize a sports psychologist on campus if one were provided to them. So my initial goal of, let's get a sports psychologist on campus. Everyone would go to someone, they want a deep relationship. I'm big on interpersonal relationships, someone who understands, maybe someone who was a student athlete, who gets the culture, the grind, right? That would be the resource for people who were struggling mentally, these hidden silent struggles, right? But, what's true now from this study is that only 50% would actually use one due to trust and confidentiality. Because I do go to a small school, everybody talks, the athletic trainers talk to the coaches who talk to your teammates, and you can see your teammates as coworkers, friends, they're in, you get lunch with them, you practice with them, you sleep with them, who are these people, man? It's weird. You do everything with them. So, trust and confidentiality is huge for athletes who are struggling. And that other 50% values that confidentiality and private help seeking. So what I did is I built a website, and that website serves as an educational forum for people who do value private help seeking. And I'm big on education. I think what I want to do right now is, yes, I would love to have a sports psychologist on campus, but who I've talked to, the people, they're real with me, and budgeting and financing is a problem, right? So that's going to take time. So this is like an interim thing that I'm doing, okay, let's build an educational forum with books, podcasts. Your podcast is up there, Closer Mentality, right? Resources, links, videos. I want to develop it into 1 to 5 minute training sessions, probably from a credible source, or, a mental health professional, sports psychologist, who develops maybe a 1 to 5 minute video or a 1 to 2 page publication on performance anxiety, or dealing social media, dealing with as an athlete, how do you deal with that, training? Because there's people who go on and speak on conferences and stuff, and you might say something that you don't want, and now the public's attacking you on your Instagram account. It's a lot to deal with as a 21-year-old kid in college. And I want to develop this into kind of an educational forum for those who value private help seeking. We don't see who goes and accesses our website. I value education. I value when I, am struggling with something mentally, I want to know what it is. And so I want to build this website as the educational forum. And then my next goal would be to change the attitudes and beliefs and the culture within the student athlete community, to break down that stigma. So it's education first, change cultural attitude and belief second. And hopefully we get that sports psychologist in the future, but money, man. So that's my vision.
How many people are helping you with this?
Oh man. So, our team, we have 20 ambassadors. We actually reached the max limit within a month of the Morgan's Message ambassadors. We have 20. We have 4 from men's basketball, 2 from field hockey, a couple from softball, right? We're trying to get 1 representative from each team, but we reached that 20-person max of ambassadors. And those are the ones who get access to the private trainings that Morgan's Message offers and the events, right? And now they said, we can also get advocates on board, and advocates just help out your group, promote it, right? They're that, that bridge into our organization. And we've also got almost 10 of those. And then we also have an advisor and a mentor who works within our athletic department, who's great. And then I also have people within our athletic training staff. Our athletic trainer is amazing too. And we've developed, it's me, Courtney, and Riley. We are the 3 senior ambassadors who kind of run this through, and we meet with our advisor, and it's kind of almost like a hierarchy. And then if you just want to talk about support outside of the organization, oh my God. I mean, I've gotten so much support, man. It's amazing. And I've heard so many incredible stories. I have mentors outside of this, it's incredible. And just something that I did, I went on my own little venture, but, I started selling these t-shirts. These are the t-shirts that I made, custom made. And, they came in July 8th. I sold 101 since July 8th. So what's the date today? Like, it's July 23rd. You know, I'm someone who's going out on this thing, man. And like, you know, it's just all profits are going to be reinvested into what we do on campus this year. Like, is that a 5K that we hold, or a volleyball game within the athletic department, or like an Olympics event in the spring, like just within the athletic department to raise money for Morgan's Message, or the dedication games or the tailgates, like anything we do to raise money or spread awareness or, you know, build education systems. We're not even back on campus yet. And I want to start out with some funding to get all this stuff going, because this is going to cost money, man. And, you know, I wanted to do this thing, and every shirt that I sell, you know, I met 101 people. That's not just 101 shirts. Here you go. There's a kid on my team who just snapped his tibia and fibula in half playing football. And he's one of my guys. He's my 6'5" right now. And I go to him, I hand him the shirt and I say, yo, man, like, this is not only gonna be a physical journey, all right? This is mental too. Like, it's up here. Like, this is positive mindset. Like, you call me if you need anything, all right? But like this is like, stay patient. You know, you can only move your leg like 6 inches right now, but you're gonna be all right, man. Like, everything's gonna be fine. Head up, positive mind, right? And so that's like, you know, I made 200 shirts. This is gonna be 200 stories. I've heard some amazing, incredible stories of resilience and just things they've overcome. And it's spreading the message while simultaneously getting some funding to do what we want to do this year. So, you know, it's amazing.
This is why I love everyone I talk to on this podcast. Like, I think just, you radiate passion for this. And it's like, it's so exciting.
Yeah. Oh, I love it, man. And people think I'm bananas. Like, I really think like people don't really get it till I meet them. And like, oh, here goes Andrew again. Like, he's nuts, man. But like, oh man, he sold like 101 shirts. Like, what's he doing? And so like, you know, you don't really earn people's respect or trust until you do stuff. And I big pet peeve of mine is seeing everyone just like post stuff on IG when stuff goes, you know, south, or tragic stories. It's like, okay, good, right? We're spreading awareness, but let's do something. Like, let's be proactive about the situation. Like, anytime you think about something negative, how about we proactively do something in the right direction, right? Something positive, something that's going to make a difference, right? So I'm big on that. And, you know, it's a lot of fun. I've met a ton of people, man, who are just so receptive and willing to help. It's incredible.
Which leads me perfectly into my next question. How do you get the other 50% to buy in?
The 50% of who?
Of the athletes that, even if presented with a sports psychologist, will not utilize it.
Okay, so, you know, I think there's various ways of education, and there's various ways that people find their help and their you know, that settles their mind. And for me, I'm someone who, you know, I like conversation. I like to convey my thoughts to someone and we connect. And I like that interpersonal relationship. I can only speak for myself. My brother, on the other hand, is very, very like in tune with his emotional intelligence, and he's very spiritual. And he picked up journaling in high school. And wow, like, I've read his journal, and it's amazing. It's extremely genuine. And a lot of people think journaling is like, you know, today is July 23rd, Saturday. I did like Dear Diary, right? Wrong. It's like, that's not it. It's more like an organization of just thought. And like, you know, I was around this person and I felt this type of energy, and I see that same thing within here. And you know what, I think I need to break away from this relationship. And, you know, this matters. Don't let people tell you like this doesn't matter. I see this, and it's like, you know, like good things, doing to yourself, self-care, it all matters. And these are all things that are written down that I really connect with. And it's super genuine. And it's not just like, you know, this is what I did today. Like, it has nothing to do with that. It's more like an organization of thought. And so someone like him, he might not value an interpersonal conversation. You know, he finds his organization of thought through journaling or maybe reading or education. So I think that other 50%, maybe we never do get them to value or go to a sports psychologist. That's fine. I still want them to recognize that there's other forms of education or other forms of help that you can do. I go for walks. Like, I take my dog for a walk. I run. That's my meditative practice for the day. Other people meditate, right? Like, that is my, 15, 30 minutes, hour alone that I love. Like, it just frees my mind. I like to lift, that's a meditative practice for me. So
there is less than a minute. When this automatically kicks us out, the same link will work, and I'll see you in about 45 seconds.
All right. Awesome. Cool.
Bye.
Yeah. It's all right.
All right. So let's get back into alternative methods of self-efficacy. You mentioned that your brother journaled, you lift. What are some other ways that athletes who may not want to talk to someone else, like a sports psychologist or a sports psychiatrist, can channel that nervous energy into alternative methods?
Okay, so that's a great question. I love that question. But where my mind is going is, everybody has their thing. Everybody is different. You can even sit in a space with someone and not say a word and feel that sense of comfort and security. I think the first step to anything is building self-awareness, which is something that I really didn't start to really study until I was in college, and paying attention to people's energy and, their true intentions. And I feel very strong and confident and comfortable with where I am in my life right now, right? But if I step off something or engage in an activity or hang with someone that kind of breaks my character a little, or I feel like I'm acting out of place, or I don't feel as comfortable here, like, okay, I need to pay attention to that. That's self-awareness. And I think having a good support system around yourself identifies when you don't even see it in yourself, when you feel blind to your own, Andrew, you're acting different, man. Like, you're changing a little. And I've had some incredible friends who've noticed that. And I'll be in denial, right? I'll be like, no, I'm good. And it's like, no, you need to go to sleep. You need to rest. You need to chill out. Like, you need to stop doing this. And, I think other people, friends, genuine support systems, not the friends who, tell you, let's go out, let's go drink and party tonight, right? Like, the friends who are like, Andrew, you need to chill out tonight. Like, you need to get some rest. You've been stressing yourself all week over this thing. Like, those are the real friends who are noticing, like, those when you start to kind of slip off the cracks a little bit, and they kind of see that within you. And they also encourage the great things that you do. That's a good friend too. A friend who's like, you know what, you did this and I thought that was amazing. And you give that mutual, encouragement and notice back, right? So I think having a good support system around you, and that can be one person, that can be 50 people. It's different for everyone, is the first step. And really doing some social awareness, social and self-awareness training for yourself. And that is something you have to be patient with. And that's something that I learned a lot through reading and studying and asking questions to people and getting mentors, and to stop hanging out with just toxic people and going in toxic environments. And it's like, I say this to a lot of people, like, if you want to build a support system for yourself, go to the environments where you enjoy being around those types of people, or people who convey that same type of energy. So if I'm looking to build friends in a new town, say I move to a new school or a new town, if I go to the bar, I'm going to meet a bunch of people who like to party till 2 a.m. If I go to the gym, it's like shopping for the people that you want in your life, if that makes sense. It's like, if I go to the gym, I'm going to meet a bunch of athletes, people who value their health, right? Like, if I, go to, I don't know, a yoga session, I'm going to meet some very like in-depth people who are good with their emotional intelligence and patience. You're going to learn the exact types of things that they're doing. Those are their habits. Those are their daily habits. And people are their habits. You are your habits. Okay. You can say you're one thing. You can say you're this, you're that. I look at who you are and what you're doing every single day. So like, go towards those types of people. And that's a step towards building a support system for yourself. So
I love that quote.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Thank you. What makes this kind of dialogue so important, student athlete or not? Okay,
so that's awesome. Even on my journey that I'm doing right now on student athlete mental health, I'm selling these shirts. I had someone come up to me and be like, hey, I play club basketball. Does that count? Right? Like, are we athletes? Like, if I played as an athlete in high school my whole life, and then I gave it up in college, or I played 2 years in college, got injured, and I left my sport. Am I still an athlete, right? Do I qualify for this? And I'm like, yeah, man, this covers everyone. Now, we are student athlete tailored. A lot of the books, your podcast, a lot of the podcasts, they are student athlete tailored. But, I had a friend who was going through a little something, and I sent our website, and I said, hey, look, they are student athlete tailored, but you can take, life lessons from anything. I'm a business finance major. I watch a lot of finance types of guys whose daily habits are actually just general daily habits that you can take a lot from, whether it's finance or business based or not. It's really like just, these are healthy habits and proactive, progressive ways that you can implement in your life. So, I think, that was me just going off on a little tangent. Can you just repeat your question one more time? Just,
yeah, it was more of just, I mean, you answered it, which also leads me to the fact that I feel like I talk about the same general topics every week, but they're implemented so differently. And I think that's what's so fascinating about this kind of dialogue, whether it's anxiety regulation, whether it's mood destabilization. I mean, whether it's performance anxiety, there are these topics that I feel like, regardless of how old you are, what sport you're in, how long you've been playing, where you are in your life, they're implementable, even if you're outside of sport.
Absolutely. I agree. And the dialogue is very, very important, because dialogue is just a convey of thought. Like, it's what you're thinking. And when you bounce off someone, you learn so much through different perspective and diversity of thought. And you can learn so much just by taking that first step and being vulnerable, or reaching out, or, conveying, hey, man, this is what I'm feeling right now. Does this sound right to you? Oh, well, you might be, why don't you try this? Like, there's so much you can learn just by talking to someone or having some form of dialogue or a conversation. And you're right, student athlete or not, everyone leads a different lifestyle, and everyone comes from different backgrounds, and everyone has their thing they're going through. But, for someone like me, I think, anxiety is a little bit normal, a level to it, right? And pressure to perform. And it's just a form of responsibility, right? But, I think responsibility and meaning and purpose and the burden that carries is a much lighter burden, and acceptable burden. And yes, it's hard to wake up early in the morning and do something, but it's so much better, being proactive and getting involved and accepting responsibility and the burden of that responsibility than, the dealings of your own thoughts and mind when you're anxious sitting in your room. I'm big on, like, this is just a thought I have, but like, when someone wants to start up something or go, right? Even when I got these t-shirts done, like, you'll spend more time thinking, and the worry and the stress and uncertainty and the chaos, like, that's more of a burden to bear to me than the burden I'll have selling the t-shirts and just going and making the effort and just going. And by the time you're done thinking about it, I've already sold 20 shirts. Like, I'm already on there. Like, I'm already done. And it's like, I'll take this burden, I'll take this stress way over that stress, like that fear, right? And even if you fail over here, it's like, as long as what you're doing and your intentions are right, and you're meeting the right people, and you're doing it the right way, and you're positive, and your attitude is correct, right? Like, it doesn't matter. Failure is just, you're just learning, man. You're learning. And it's so much better than being stagnant. I saw a great quote on Instagram the other day, but it's like, speed, gravity, like, there's a plane that flies through the air, right? And, the plane is going so fast that gravity can't take it down. And it's just like, if you're just going, if you just don't let yourself, like, get caught up in the worry and fear of life, and you just proactively go, that fear can't catch you. That gravity, it can't pull you down, man, because you're just going. It's not going to pull you down. You're going too fast. I'm ready. I'm not going to let it stop me. Like, I'm just going. So that's my thought.
And then let's also talk about your mentality preseason, during the season, and then postseason. What kind of wavelength are you going through?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's huge. Preseason is, oh man, they're all hard in their own way. They're all difficult in their own way. But preseason is definitely like, let's bulk up, let's get strong, let's prepare, right? There's a lot of emphasis on preparation. And I think this happens every preseason. So I have a friend who is going off to college next year. He's going to play basketball in college. And he was asking me questions about what's college preseason like and everything. And a lot of the emphasis is strength and conditioning, right? But if you look at the energy, what you said, like the up and down, the wavelengths, like the first practice is my favorite moment of every year. The first, it's awesome, right? It's like the best feeling of all time. And you see, it's a mix of like seeing where you were last year at that practice and a mix of the potential of what you could be. It's like a reflection and a realization of potential at the same time. Like I find it very it's a deep thing to me, every first practice of every year. And the energy is through the roof for from there to 3 weeks in, right? And then guy goes down with an ankle injury, right? 7 a.m. lifts become harder. Classes, maybe exams start coming on, right? Yet you see an energy fall off, right? 3 weeks into preseason. And that's when you really start to see the great leaders rise. You start to see the real strong people that you can rely on, who are going to continue to show up 5 minutes early or get shots up before practice, or stay solid on their homework. And the energy is through the roof, dips a little. And that's true for anyone, but preseason's a lot of fun, a lot of emphasis on strength and conditioning. Definitely hard to adjust, keep your grades up and do, all of it. In season is a whole nother beast. In season is just you're on the road, weekends, you're traveling back, you get back at 3 a.m, you got class at 8, coach says you got to go to class, you got practice the next day, film of your last game, film of the next game. Oh man, lift, maintenance lifts, you still got class in it. And if you want to throw in some social relationships too, it's a whirlwind, man. In season is another beast, and you just have to be so focused mentally and so invested in what you love and rely on your team, and just, it's incredible. And then postseason is another thing. It's chill. It's a lot of shooting and more skill development, right? Less strength and conditioning and go. And we're climbing up the mountain. Now it's we're kind of just kind of walking, but yeah, it plateaus a little bit, right? How are you going to combat that? Are you still showing up, and are you still working on your game, and try to be invested in this? Because you're not getting motivated or pushed as much or coached as much. And that's when I think you see the people who really coach themselves and have those disciplined habits, right, in the postseason. So you have these different energies in each season, and it's wow. If you're a freshman just coming in, it's going to be an adjustment, man. But I'd say invest in your team, invest in people who want the best for you, and you'll get through it.
Talking about intrinsic ability, self-awareness, how can you set yourself up in the preseason to mentally ride out the waves in the regular season and then leading into the postseason? What kind of building blocks can you start in the preseason that will last you the rest of the year?
Okay, yeah. So say we're in preseason, right? We'll have 3 or 4 lifts in that week, and we'll go hard and we'll play a lot, and we'll go 5 days in that week. The first 2 days might be great. Wednesday, I might feel a little oh man, a little sore, right? Thursday's the tough day. Thursday's oh man, I'm not feeling it today, right? I started to come up with things and things that I found motivation in, right? I would watch basketball highlights of some of the guys that I know while I'm in the training room getting stretched out. And I actually found that if I did the work to get in the training room just earlier on that day, on those days where I'm not feeling it, eat a little bit earlier, have fruit that day, right? Do more of the good habits that I know will help me get through that day. I'm really not feeling it. I'm sore. I'm going to eat a lot of fruit today. I'm going to be healthy. I'm going to get rest the night before. It helps you prepare for those types of days when you're really not feeling it and you feel exhausted going into practice. And so that's a self-awareness thing, is I feel it coming on. It's let me eat really well, sleep really well. Let me limit some distractions in my life. Let me knock out homework early, right? Let me watch these highlights of these guys, and I would find that extra motivation. And some days, those worst days where I was feeling, I'd kill it, like absolutely go in and kill practice. So it's like, you don't know what you're going to get. Understand that feeling is temporary. It's a little bit of an illusion, and you won't know anything until you get into practice and just try, and your actions will follow. So that comes from self-awareness and understanding your body and how you feel. And when I shoot with my guys, I'll shoot with some of my players, my 16-year-olds that I coach, and we'll go through shooting, and we'll do shooting reps. And I'll see some guys down on the other end and they're flying through the drill, and I'll have another guy like trying to analyze his shot, like, oh, this doesn't feel right. And I'm like, okay, great. Spend like 5 seconds thinking about it, right? But if you think about it too much, like these guys are flying through the drill, like you're going to learn more through the actual repetition and the actual practice than you will through the analytical thought that's going on in your head. You're going to learn more by just going through it and getting through the practice. And I'm not saying like play through deep injury or something that you might think is genuinely hurt, but like understanding that like I'm going to learn more by just going through it and try and being resilient, rather than just caving in and saying I'm out, man, I'm out. Because that pain of regret. I heard a great quote of like friends who were climbing a mountain together, and they were like 80% up the mountain, and one of their friends was like, I'm going down, man, I can't do it anymore. And they all tried to encourage him, like, dude, you got to get up this mountain, dude, come on. And he went down. He caved in, he went down. And all the other guys, they got up the mountain and they came down, and they saw their friend who caved in, and like the look of regret on his face was so like deep. And it's just like, you will like just keep going, man. Like that's what this semicolon means on this butterfly. Like it means keep going and being resilient. That's the word, man, resilient, so.
And then coaching philosophy. How do you shift that when you're being coached versus coaching others?
Yeah. Oh yeah. So I love coaching. This is my first year coaching. I've always trained guys on the side. Personal training, strength and conditioning, ever since I was about 19 years old. I've done that for the last 3 or 4 years. This is my first time coaching AAU, and I coach with my uncle, and my mom helps out a little bit too, but my uncle played professionally in Italy. He really knows the game. And I've learned a lot through coaching, through every coach that I've had. I take plays and I take little bits and pieces from every coach, all the schools that I went to, all the teams that I played for, they've all built me as a coach. And I've learned like a lot of things, but how I coach is I really want to emphasize freedom and trust. Like I want to trust you. Like I recruited you and you play for me. Like I believe you're good enough that I want to build the trust within you and within your teammates, that I'm just here to say what I see, what I feel is going on. Like I trust my instincts enough. I've been around the game for so long in my life where I feel something coming on, and it's like, I'll comment on that. And it's more of an encouragement. It's more like, Mike, you saw what you did there, right? Like, you saw that, right? Okay, that's it. I trust that you saw it. I don't have to hound you. I see so many coaches when I'm coaching against them, or just, when I'm refereeing and I see coaches, they'll be like, oh, how did you not see that? Like, there's 2 people there. That's a problem. It's like, if you analyze what you just said, there's absolutely zero coaching in that. Because first of all, the kid probably did see exactly what you saw. There's 2 people over there. That's a problem. And you just pointed out a problem and provided absolutely no solution to that problem. And you didn't guide him or encourage him or coach him in any direction at all. You just commented on a problem, which is what you see all the time in and when people voice their opinions. That's a problem. It's like, okay, well, what's your solution? So I think great coaches guide players and encourage them and provide them with solutions, or maybe you could have tried this. All right, okay, maybe if you went there, hey man, start running ball side, you're going to see some opportunities open on that side of the ball. Like just feeding them, choices. And I trust that like, you might not even do what I say, like you might go that route, but I really do trust that you're going to figure it out or make a play. And it's like, I'll tell my guys like, okay, come off this ball screen and make a play. They'll look at me, they'll be like, well, what play? I'll be like, read and react. We emphasize read and react around here. So I'm big on playing, competitive playing, less drilling, less going over plays, less discipline at that age, more like just being a guide and an advocate and someone on their corner, someone who like I'm young, I'm an athlete, like, and I'm still learning, I'm still playing, like, I'm still going to learn a ton about coaching and playing, the next 2 years that I have in college. But that's my look on coaching, so far. I have a lot more to learn. I'm excited. I love it. Love it.
And then I was listening to a podcast, or I think it was a podcast that you had done with someone else. And you were talking about the inherent toughness facade that college athletes put on in an attempt to get better, get more coaches to notice them, get more playing time. To what extent?
Yeah, so I believe in being tough on the court. That is something I value. Like we said, being resilient, toughness, like bring it, man, bring that energy. And I am someone who talks smack in practice. Like I am hitting you, I'm doing all that, like I'm in you, I'm going to tell you, like I want to compete. And I really test people and players. Like it's almost like a level of respect. Like if you're going to talk back and you prove it to me and I said something to you and then you go score a bucket on me, it's like, oh man, let's go now. Like you're in my world. Like I like that. I love that so much. And so that is something I value, but on the court. And so, you're on the court for 2 hours. Like, I lifted this morning, right? And I'll probably go play tonight for like an hour, 30 minutes. And I go into that zone, right? But off the court, you're in a whole nother world. Like I was just talking with a friend and we were talking about the thought of flow, when you flow on the basketball court. And I think I flow as a coach too. Like when I'm in that world, I immediately enter this mindless, like I don't think about anything. I'm just flowing. And it's like, you're not even thinking at all. It's like you're dancing almost for like an hour and 30 minutes, total escape from any thought of life, right? And then you get in the car or you get in the shower after it's done, or you're moving on to the next thing, or you're at dinner, or you're sitting in your room at night, like thought comes. And so that toughness, that same like run through a wall, be tough, talk smack, like get in your face, it's not the same thing. It's like applying skills and habits to one thing that has nothing to do with what you're going through. And I believe, vulnerability and conversation and patience, and it depends on environment. It's just like when you talk to people, right? Like I'm going to wear a suit and tie for when I go and I meet with clients for my finance internship. I'm going to wear a shirt and t-shirt right now, right? Or when I coach, it's the skills and it's understanding the environment and what you need to bring to that table, and the mind and skill set and how you view the situation and your perspective is totally different from the toughness I bring on the court to the toughness I have in dealing with, a girlfriend, right? Totally different. And I think, you need to study each scenario, but I think it cuts off, like it's an in the zone and out of the zone thing on the court, that toughness thing. But people do put on that game face and try to think that it's going to work, in social relationships or in their daily life. And it's like, good luck, man. That's not it. Like that mental toughness that everyone talks about, that ghastly word that's been taken and spun around, man. It's crazy.
Which leads me into another great question. And I feel like I ask this every once in a while when we talk about mental toughness, because I hate that term.
Oh, yeah.
I hate it. I actually had an episode pretty early on where I brought on a sports psychologist and we just broke down the parts of what someone who was, quote, mentally tough is actually doing. Mm-hmm. And so from then on, I've kind of asked every one of my guests, like, how would you redefine mental toughness? So go for it.
So just going off what I know is like, you hear the military form or the athlete form, the football term of mental toughness, right? And everyone thinks it's like game face, run through a wall. It's like, okay, maybe when you're on the offensive line, but when you're going through your daily life, mental toughness to me is more like taking a step back, looking at the wall, analyzing the wall, getting help to go over the wall, and understanding that if I get 4 or 5 people, maybe I don't have to run through it and risk bashing my head into something, and maybe we can all just climb over it and help each other over it together, right? Like that's mental toughness, is mental toughness to me is a calm state. It's not the, ridiculous flailing the arms, loud and aggressive and punching and like, just like, that's not mental toughness. Like, oh man, it's more the calm and the patient and the vulnerable and the leader who just is and leads by example, and like understanding that when you're in a calm state, you're much more reliable and trusted, and your decision making isn't going to be influenced by that emotional thing that you're feeling right now, that of aggression that you might have for an hour a day. That's not even like real. It's just temporary. And you might go lift and say, I'm mentally tough. And then when you get home, you're exhausted and you're going through something mentally, and you might experience some form of anxiety. That same aggression isn't going to work, man. It's like, you need to be calm. Let's get rid of distractions and toxic environments and things that you might have been doing that are stressors. Let's identify those stressors, just like we identify the wall, and let's learn to implement them outside of our life. I think a big quote that I've learned is like treating yourself like someone you're responsible for taking care of. And, would I tell my mom or my brother to do these types of things that I'm doing to myself, like to run through the wall? It's like, I wouldn't tell my mom to do that. It's like, let's take a step back. You need to rest. Like you need to do this. I can see you're stressed out. So like, treat yourself that same way, man. Holding yourself to that mentally tough standard is nuts. So.
I just love this episode so much.
Yeah, me too.
What's next for you?
So I'm finishing an internship right now, finance internship. I do like finance. It's something that I am interested in. That's what I study at school. I do have my senior year coming up of school, and I do have that COVID year eligibility. So I'm very excited for this season. And, I'm getting really hard on my training right now, like ready to go for preseason. So the next 2 years, like I want to be a great player. And, if I can put up good statistics, I've put up like pretty good statistics, but I know there's more that I can do. And I, my coaches, I've worked with them, and they've told me like there's things I can work on. And so I want to work on those things. And if I'm producing the good amount of stats, maybe play overseas. We have a guy who's solidified a Greek contract in Greece. Like, if you can play professional ball, if they're going to pay you to play basketball, man, I'll take that any day of the week. So, play 2 years, see how far I can go, how far my body takes me, how far the game takes me. And, maybe I go business with a finance degree, or maybe I go into coaching. Those are my two passions right now. And student athlete mental health is like it's my service to the people that I know. Like, it's my form of giving back. And, right now I'm on a lot of steam. I'm on a steamroll right now with ideas and like selling the shirts and getting the word out there and like marketing the hell out of it. But, that's always going to be my form of giving back to the people that I know and understand, and like the people that I coach. I can maybe I put these patches on our AAU jerseys, right, and spread the message, or on bags. Like, I can intertwine and connect a lot of different things, and that's what I'm interested in. And that's probably what's next. So
that's awesome.
Yeah.
So this episode will come out on August 3rd. Once it does, you will get bombarded with notifications on Instagram and Twitter. And then our full episode, barring anything that you would like cut out, I don't think that there's anything that we talked about, but if there is, please tell me.
Not really.
This entire video will go on YouTube, so you can go through and watch the totally uncut, uncensored interview with you and I.
Okay.
On YouTube, and then the final episode will go up on Apple, Spotify, SoundCloud, Amazon Music, and Audible.
Awesome.
On August 3rd, and then that's a Wednesday, so they all come out on Wednesdays. The social media will go out on Thursday, so you'll get bombarded with notifications on the 4th, actually.
Okay. All right, great.
Is there anything else before we conclude that you wanted to talk about that you think that I missed?
I mean, like, yeah, the thing that I'm trying to harp on and build is just resilience. Like, you will go through, hard times in your life. And like, if you look at the statistics, like 1 in 4 of people will experience a major depressive episode in their lifetime. Like, you're going to live a lot of years in life, and you might get hit with one of those. And like, the way out of it is really, it's doing healthy habits and the good things. They're going to propel you in the right direction, and giving back. Like, giving is a big way out of depression, like giving yourself. And I know people are exhausted when they're depressed, but like, if you just, really, if you just keep giving, you'll get back that same energy that you put out into the world. So that's the point I want to make. And I'm doing petitions, I'm selling t-shirts right now, but I'm building websites with education. But hopefully, like, we do some campaigns and we dedicate some games this year, and we really spread the message. And I'm excited for all the amazing people I'll meet. So that's just the last message I want to say. So
I'm excited to see what you guys create. I love following the people that I interview because I feel like I spend like an hour and 10 minutes with them, and then I just let them free, and I get to watch like what they create after our talk and after our episode. And they're the most incredible people. So welcome to that club.
I'm excited for what you're going to create. I want to see where this goes. Like your own show or something, I'll be watching. That'll be awesome. So I love what you're.
Any questions for me about the process, about just generally?
Not really.
We are officially done with the interview.
Yeah, no, it's great.
Awesome.
I think it's awesome.
Thank you. So once again, August 3rd for the episode, August 4th for all the socials, and I'll talk to you then.
All right. Good luck with everything, Julia. Thank you.
Bye.
I'll see you.
Bye.